Hi, everybody. Welcome to week 7, lecture 1, concept of public and private goods. In this lecture, we are going to distinguish between a public good and a private good, um, using two basic characteristics. One is non-exclusive, and then two is non-rival. So the difference between those two goods is that private goods are both rival as well as exclusive. They are both rival goods as well as exclusive goods. Now, when we say a good is rival, it means that if I am a consumer, I consume that particular good, it is gone. There is none for you. Let's take, for example, I go and buy, let's say, pizza. Now, pizza is a rival good because once it is produced and I go to the store to buy that one, if I start to consume it, it means the next person will not get. So the next person is not going to get. So the consumption of that particular good reduces the amount to be consumed for the next person or the other for others. So if my own consumption of that good reduces what the other consumers are going to get from that particular good, then it is a private good. It is a rival good. It is exclusive if the producer of that particular good can prevent consumers or others from consuming it. They can prevent them by maybe the price they charge for the good. Some consumers are willing and capable of buying the good, they are able to buy it. Others are not able to buy the good. So those who are not able to buy the good are excluded from the consumption of that good. So that's why we say a private good is exclusive. It excludes those who are not able to pay for it. On the other hand, a public good is both non-rival as well as non-exclusive. It is non-rival in the sense that if one person consumes it, it does not reduce the amount that the next person gets of that same good. So it is non-rival. It is non-exclusive in the sense that nobody can be excluded from it. Everybody have equal access to the good. Nobody is excluded. So take, for example, national defense. If the United States provide national defense, it is not only for one person, it is for everybody. If one person is protected, it means every other person is protected. So the protection that one person gets does not reduce the amount of protection the other person gets. Likewise, if the government provides protection for every citizen, if one citizen enjoys that particular benefit, every other person, every other people will enjoy the same benefits. So nobody is excluded. So it becomes non-exclusive. So a public good is both non-rival as well as non-exclusive. A public good is both non-rival as well as non-exclusive. So that is what we are going to do right now. And when we finish that topic, then we're going to move on to the efficient provision of a public good. So at what level of output is the public good provided? Is it because the marginal benefit is equal to marginal cost, or is it provided at the point where the marginal benefit equals to marginal cost, or where the marginal benefit is above the marginal cost? So these are things that we are going to deal with in this lecture. Now let's go ahead and get started. As I said earlier, private goods are goods that are both rivalrous as well as excludable in consumption. It means that once a private good is consumed by one person, it cannot be consumed by any other person. If I go and buy, let's say, ice cream, if I consume that one, no other person gets. So it is rival. It is a rival good. It is also excludable. It is excludable in the sense that producers can prevent some people from consuming the product, the private good, based on their ability to pay. So as I said earlier, if I am not able to pay, maybe to enter a concert, I don't have the money to pay the gate fee, enter a concert, to watch a concert, then I am excluded from the pleasure of watching the concerts. So people who don't have money to pay the gate fee to the concert are excluded from attending the concert. So they don't enjoy the benefits of the concert. So it becomes exclusive. It only includes people who have the money to enter the gate concert or to enter the to attend the concert. So take for example again, you have a situation where you are at the park, right? Now you make your reservation at the park, you have a table, right? Now, even though the park is a public good, because everybody have equal access to that, nobody is excluded, but it becomes rivalrous in the sense that if I go there and put a table, I reserve a table, then there will be no space for you to put your own table. So it becomes rivalrous. So do you get the point I'm making? Now, a rivalry, a rival good. For a rival good, one person consumes it means no other person can consume it. For example, food, banana. If I peel the banana and then I start to eat it, now the next person will not get. It will reduce the amount of banana that the next person is going to get. So it becomes a rivalry good. Fish. Once I start to eat the fish, it reduces the amount of fish the next person gets. So it becomes a rivalry good. Ice cream. Once I start to eat ice cream, so the next person is going to get less. It's reduced the amount of ice cream that the next person gets. So it becomes a rivalry good. So all goods that are rival goods, the consumption by one person reduces the amount that the next person gets of that same good. So it becomes a rivalrous good. or it becomes a rival good. So for a rival good, once it is produced and one person consumes it, it reduces the amount available to the others. So the other people will not be able to consume that same amount, because if one person consumes it, it reduces the amount of that same good available to the others. So it becomes a rival good. So goods like fish, banana, cookies, these are all rival goods. They are not non-rival goods. They are rival goods. Because if I consume them, everybody will get less or nothing. Now take like street lightning. Street lightning is not a rival good. It is not a rival good because if I go out and then I'm able to see the bright lights, that doesn't mean the next person will not be able to get the same bright lights. So it does not reduce the amount of benefit that the next person is going to get from the street lights. So street lightning becomes a non-rival good. It becomes a public good. As a matter of fact, it is a pure public good. It is a pure public good in the sense that it is both non-rivalrous as well as non-excludable. Nobody is excluded. It is both a non-exclusive good and a non-rival good. Nobody is excluded. The producer of that street lightning will not prevent anybody from enjoying the benefits of the street light. So it becomes a public good. So later on, I'm going to show you how these goods are financed. Are they provided for free? No, they are not provided for free. Matter of fact, there is nothing provided for free. So somebody is going to pay for it. So later on, I'm going to show you how public goods are financed. So let's keep on going. Now, since private goods are both rivalrous and excludable in consumption, it means they can be provided efficiently through the market. Because the producer is able to exclude somebody who does not have the ability to pay for it. And again, because the good is rivalrous, it means that a producer will be able to produce this good efficiently through the market, through the force of demand and supply, through the interaction of demand and supply. And then the market will clear. And then we get a market price at which the commodity is sold. So the marginal cost of providing the efficient output of a private good is not zero, since the good is both excludable and rivalrous. So that's the difference between the private good and the public good here. Whereas the public good is provided at zero marginal cost, the private good is not provided at zero marginal cost because it is both excludable and rivalrous. Only those who have the ability to pay for it will be able to acquire that good. If Mr. X does not have the ability to pay for the private good, he's not going to get it. If you don't have money to go to the concert, you can't go there. So that excludes you right away. If I go there, I go to the concert and then watch the movie, or maybe if I go to the concert, I buy my ticket, it means that I have the ability to pay, so I'm not excluded. I am only excluded if I don't have the money to pay. But am I excluded from protection? No. The government protects everybody. National defense. Now, the clean air. If the air is not polluted, if it is clean, the government has purified the air. If I breathe very good air, it does not reduce the amount of air that the next person is going to breathe. It's not going to reduce that amount. So it becomes a public good. So now look at it, try to find the differences here. One has two characteristics, which is what? Rivalrous as well as excludable, which is a private good. A private good is what? Both a rival good as well as a non-exclusive good. It is a rival good because if I consume it, it means the next person is going to get less of that amount. Now, if I don't have money to pay for that good, I am excluded. But if I have money to pay for it, I am not excluded from the good. So it becomes what? A non-exclusive good. So private goods are both rival goods, are both rival as well as exclusive. Okay? And in fact, here, how do we provide these goods efficiently? Through what? The equimarginal principle. We have dealt with that, right? So you buy the optimal unit by equating the marginal cost to the marginal benefits. The marginal cost to the marginal benefit. In other words, here you look at what? The equality of the marginal rate of substitution. That is, the marginal rate of substitution for every individual in the economy must be equal. That is, the marginal utility per dollar spent on each good must be the same for every individual. So that's how we price the private good. That's how we provide an efficient level output of the private good. So now let's move forward. Now, a public good is a good that is both non-rival as well as non-exclusive in consumption. Now, it is non-rival in the sense that consumption of the good by one person does not diminish the amount that can be consumed by others. No, it does not diminish that amount. Now, if I go to the park, I enjoy the park. I go there, I relax. Now the next person will come and use the same park. So it does not mean that if I go there, I enjoy the pleasure of being in the park, the next person is not going to enjoy that same pleasure. So the next person will come and enjoy the same amount of pleasure. So me being in the park does not mean that the next person is not going to get the same pleasure. Now take also, for example, public broadcasting. Now most times everybody watch CNN, right? Or maybe listen to NPR radio. So if I listen to NPR radio, now this is also a public good. If I listen to NPR radio, I get the news, I know what is going on. Does that mean the next person that tune in to NPR radio is going to get less of that? No. So you have sometimes you have over thousands or millions and millions of listeners. So they all get equal benefits. So the consumption by one person does not reduce the amount of that good to the other person. So the other person gets the same amount. So it becomes what? Non-rival. Now, national defense. Now, government provides police protection as well as military protection, right? So if they provide national defense for one person or maybe for the entire country, it means if individual A is protected, it means individual C is also protected. In other words, we all get the same protection. It does not mean that if individual A is protected, it's reduced the amount of protection that the next individual gets. They all get the same protection. So it becomes what? A non-rival good, right? Now, it is also non-exclusive here. The public goods, once they are produced, they are accessible to everyone, even those who do not have the ability to pay. Yeah. National defense. If I don't have the ability to pay, it does not mean that I'm excluded from maybe police protection. I'm protected. Now, even the homeless, they are also protected. Even though they don't pay taxes, but they are protected. So it means that no person can be prevented from enjoying the benefit of the good. For example, you have street lighting, you have national defense, you have amusement parks. These are all non-exclusive goods. So they are public goods. So a public good is a good that is what? Both rival as well as non-exclusive. It is a good that is both rival as well as non-exclusive. Okay? The difference with a private good is that a private good is both rival as well as exclusive, whereas a public good is both what? Non-rival as well as non-exclusive. Okay? Public goods are both non-rival as well as non-exclusive. Now, sometimes we have public goods that are not pure. So that brings us to the concept of what? Impure public goods. What makes it impure? An impure public good is a good that is either rivalrous or excludable. Now, I told you the last earlier that a public good is what? Both non-rival as well as non-exclusive, right? Okay. There are certain times when a public good becomes rivalrous. There are other times when it becomes excludable. Now, take for example, you have education at a public university, right? Now, sometimes education at a public university can be exclusive, can be an exclusive good. Why? Because the university can deny admission to a prospective student because of the inability to pay. It is true. They can deny admission, right? Because of what? The inability to pay. So you are excluded. Education at a public university can also be rivalrous because of what? The limited space available. Now, most of these public universities, public schools, they have limited spaces for students. That is to say, the number of students that want to get an education at this public university is more than the spaces available. So that means that if one student enrolls, another prospective student might be displaced because of what? The limited space available. So that means if I am enrolled, if I am lucky to enroll, or maybe I'm accepted at the university, now some other person or some other student may not be fortunate to be accepted or to enroll because of the limited space. So when the space is limited, now it becomes a rival good. Now also take for example amusement parks. They are excludable if they have gates and a fee is charged to enter. Now, if you go to an amusement park and there is a gate, and now they say for you to enter the park, you need to pay something like maybe $5 or maybe $2. So it becomes a rival good right there. Or sorry, it becomes what? An exclusive good. Because if I don't have the $2 to enter, then I'm not going to enter the park. So it becomes what? An exclusive good. It's going to exclude me because I'm not able to pay because of the inability of one individual to pay for the service. So it's excluded. So it becomes what? An exclusive good. But they are non-rival because why? Because of the wider space available for everyone. So you go to the amusement park, it is so big. So we don't have to say the space is limited here. So it is non-rival because if I go there, I pay my fee, maybe $2 to enter, and then the next person comes and pay $2 to enter. If I get the benefit of the park, it does not mean that it is going to reduce the amount of benefit that the next person gets from the amusement park. So it becomes what? A non-rival. And it becomes non-rival here because of the wider space. Right? Now, you remember the university example, the public university example. You say the limited space makes the provision of that service become what? A rival group. Now, take for example, again, office hours. Now, students come to office hours, right? Now, they have their problems. They have maybe some questions they want to ask. So they are easily accessible to the professor or the lecturer. So the professor or the lecturer or sometimes conduct office hours. So everybody has equal access to that service. Every student have equal access to the service. But now, if students have to stand in a queue, if students have to stand in a queue to just see one particular professor, then it becomes what? A rival good. It becomes a rival good. Because here, if I go there to see the professor, it reduces the amount of time, that you will have with the professor. So by the time the professor gets to the third or maybe the fourth or fifth, the professor is tired. So that means he will not be able to see the other students. So you see how that one becomes a rival good. Even though it is non-excludable or non-exclusive, but it becomes a rival good if many students have to stand in the queue to see one particular professor. So some students, I believe some students are going to be displaced. Some students will not be able to see the professor. So if one student was able to see the professor, it reduces the amount of time that the next student is going to get with the professor. So that is why it is a rival. That is why it's a rival group. It is non-rival if nobody has to stand in the queue. Nobody. There is no queue. So everybody will just slide in to the office and then see Mr. Maybe Professor Z or Professor W. So if everybody is able to see Professor W with ease, then it becomes a non-rival group. But if it is very difficult to see Professor W or Professor C, then it becomes a rival group. So that is how it becomes an impure public good. Even though it has one of the characteristics of a public good, but it also has another characteristic of the private good. That is what? Exclusive as well as rival. So you need to be very mindful about this, that we do have impure public good. Even though we have public goods, we have impure public goods. And then we also have pure public goods. So pure public goods are goods that are perfectly non-rival as well as perfectly non-exclusive. Okay, so that takes us to the next slide. Pure public good. A pure public good is both perfectly non-rival and perfectly non-exclusive. For example, national defense, clean air, etc. The marginal cost of producing the non-exclusive and non-rival quantity of the public good is zero. It is not like the private good. For the private good, the marginal cost of producing the private good is not equals to zero. It could be $10, it could be $100, it could be $20, etc. Right? Now, how do they finance this public good? Now, most times you hear about taxes being levied. Government decides to impose taxes on goods, certain goods, and the reason why government impose taxes is one, to redistribute income, and two, to carry out the functions of the government. Now, government may want to provide social amenities, they want to provide public goods for the citizens. They want to provide protection, police protection. They also want to provide defense in case of any attack, impending attack. So, the government is going to tax individuals, and the proceeds from taxation is used to finance these public goods. So that is why I say that even though everybody have access to the good, even though the public good is non-rival, but somebody has to pay for it. Even though most people don't pay for it, but somebody has to pay for it. So the only way these goods can be financed is through taxation. So this is the reason why government levy taxes. If they can't get the revenue to finance these public goods, then the service will not be provided. So the service will only be provided if there is money to provide them. So once this service is provided, everybody has equal access to the service. Once the public good is provided, nobody is excluded. The producer or maybe the government cannot prevent anybody from enjoying the service. So that is why we say the public good is a non-exclusive good. Now let's look at this small table. Now we see here in the first quadrant, we say you see the intersection between rivalry as well as exclusive, right? So in the first quadrant there, the good is what? The good is a private good. So the private good falls in the first quadrant. In the second quadrant, where you have non-exclusive as well as rival goods, you notice that for this type of goods, they have one of the characteristics of a public good and then another characteristic of a private good. So this good is referred to as an impure public good. It is an impure public good. It is not a pure public good because it is not perfectly non-rival. Even though it is perfectly non-exclusive, it is not perfectly non-rival. As in the case of the office hours I mentioned before, and then the free public transport. Even though it is free, or if people have to stand in a line to enter the bus, because the bus has a limited space, if they have to stand in the queue, right? So it means if I'm able to go to ride in the bus, it means the next person who came late will not be able to ride in the bus. So it increases the commuting time for the next person. So it becomes what? A rival good or a rival good, right? So that one is impure public good. Now, in the third quadrant, you see cable TV, right? It is non-rival. For what? It is exclusive. It is non-rival in the sense that if I pay for cable TV, right? Then I tune the channels, channel 45, MSNBC. Now the next person also pays for the cable TV. Now if I watch that particular program, it does not reduce the amount of enjoyment the next person is going to get. It does not. So that's why it is non-rival. But it becomes exclusive because I have to pay for the cable TV. If I don't pay for it, I will not be able to get the cable TV. So it becomes exclusive. So it is only people who have the ability to pay that can use the good or that can have access to the good. It's only people who have the ability to pay. Even though it is non-rivalrous, but it is excludable or it is exclusive. Now take also an uncongested toll road, right? Now they put a toll road, you have a toll road. Now, some people may not use the road, that particular road, because they have to pay something. Now, if I don't have money to pay for that, that means I am prevented from going through that road, from using that road. So, because of the uncongested toll there, it becomes an exclusive good. Some people are prevented. People who do not have the ability to pay will not use that route. They will not use that route to go to wherever they want to go. So it's only people who have the ability to pay the toll that can use the road. So even though it is non-driverless, because if the first motorist uses that road, it does not reduce the amount of benefit the next motorist will get. They all get the same benefits. So that's why it is non-driverless. But it becomes exclusive because there is a toll. People have to pay a toll for them to use that road. So for you to use the road, you have to pay the toll. Once you pay the toll, it becomes what? Exclusive, because if you don't have the money to pay, you are excluded. You are prevented from using that road. Now, you take also uncongested museum. Again, for an uncongested museum, you have certain fees that they pay for that. And so, if somebody has to pay to enter, then it becomes what? An impure public good. So you see in the third quadrant here, all the goods there are referred to as what? As impure public goods. And in the fourth quadrant, all the goods there are pure public goods. They are perfectly non-rival and perfectly non-exclusive. National defense, street lighting, clean air, etc. These are all pure public goods. So let's move on. Now let's move on to efficient provision of public goods. Now, the efficient provision of a public good occurs where the marginal benefit of providing an additional unit of the good equals the marginal cost of that unit. Now we say where the marginal benefit equals to the marginal cost, that is the efficient level of provision of the public good. Now, what is the marginal cost of a public good? It refers to the opportunity cost of using economic resources to produce a public good rather than other goods. So that is the marginal cost of producing the public good, right? So now government uses economic resources to provide public services. So the opportunity cost of using economic resources to produce a public good rather than other goods is referred to as the marginal cost of the public good. Now, let's say, for example, the government uses tax money or tax dollars to provide national defense rather than street lightning. So, the marginal cost of providing national defense is the opportunity cost of using tax dollars to provide what? National defense. Rather than what? Providing maybe street lighting for people. So if government decides to use tax dollars, to fortify its military, that means it has less tax dollars for what? For education, public education. right? It has less tax dollars for public education. So in that case, if they embark more on military spending, it means they have less tax dollars for public education. So the marginal cost of providing national defense is not the actual tax dollars that is spent there. It is what? The opportunity cost of using the tax dollars to provide national defense. That is to provide national defense instead of what? Providing for education. So that is the marginal social cost of a public good. Now, what is the marginal benefit of a public good? Now, the marginal benefit is just the vertical sum of the marginal benefit of all the individuals who enjoys the benefit of an additional unit of the good. So that is the marginal benefit. Now, if we have, let's say, 3 different individuals in an economy, and then a public good is provided for those 3 individuals, right? Now, the benefit that individual 1 gets, plus the benefit that individual 2 gets, plus the benefit that individual 3 gets, is the marginal benefits of that particular public good. That is the marginal benefit. So if we add all those 1 vertically, then it becomes the marginal social benefits, right? Which is different from the horizontal summation of all the individual demand. Now, for all private goods. For all private goods, you have that horizontal summation of all the individual demands, which is different from this. This one is what? The vertical summation of all the individual demands. Now, the demands there are referred to as what? The marginal benefits. So if we sum everything there, that becomes the marginal benefits of the public good. So as a matter of fact, the efficient amount of the public good produced is therefore given as what? Marginal cost to the society. In other words, the marginal social cost is equals to the sum of the marginal benefits. That is the vertical summation of all the marginal benefits for the individuals. So here, MC social is the marginal cost of the society, or the social marginal cost, and MB high is the marginal benefit of the high individual from consuming the public good. So as you can see there, we say the marginal social cost, right, must be equals to the sum of the marginal benefits for all the individuals, ranging from I equals to 1 up to n, assuming that there are n individuals in this economy. Now, suppose there are 3 individuals in the economy. The efficient level of production is given by M social equals MB1 plus MB2 plus MB3. Now, there are 3 individuals, right? We have MB1 plus MB2 plus MB3 equals to the marginal social cost. Once we are able to equate these two, then we can use this equation to find the efficient level of outputs of the public good. Now, let's look at this diagram. Efficient provision of public goods. Now, if we look at this diagram, we notice that the quantity of the public good is on the horizontal axis, and the price per unit of the public good is on the vertical axis. Now, you notice that for individual 1, the demand curve D1 is equals to MB1, which is the demand curve. And then for individual 2, the demand curve there is D2 equals to MB2. Now, we notice that the red line MABC, that is a kink. So the kink curve ABC is what? The marginal social benefit. That is the marginal benefit to the society as a whole. So that is ABC. Now we see the horizontal marginal cost curves. MC equals to 50, MC equals to 240, and then MC equals to 400. Right? Now, if we look at, let's look at point B here. At point B, the marginal cost. Now, before we move on to that one, let me just try to explain this one. Let's look at this red line, right? Now we see the red curve. You see A, B, C, right? It has a kink at point C. Okay. Now, at point C, Q equals to 100, right? At point C, Q equals to 100. That is the amount of public good that the first individual consumes is 100, right? So, now, at that particular point, the marginal social benefits it coincides with the demand curve for individual 2, right? Now, as you can see, the marginal social benefit curve is on top of that demand curve for individual 2. So this means that the reason why it overlaps with that curve is because individual 1 is not going to pay, is not going to consume anything beyond 100, right? It's not going to consume anything beyond 100. And so that marginal social benefit curve has to move to get, have to be on top of the marginal benefit curve for individual 2. It has to be on top of it because at point C, beyond point C here, beyond Q equals to 100, individual 1 is not going to consume anything. It's not going to pay. It's not willing to buy. It's not willing to buy the public good. So that means individual 1 is going to buy 0 of the amount of the public good, whilst individual 2 will continue to buy the good. So that's why the marginal social benefit curve is on top of this, on top of the individual 2's demand curve at point C here. It forms a kink at point C. It forms a kink because individual 1 is not going to buy anything after point C. After point C, is not going to buy nothing. So it's only individual 2 that is going to buy positive amount of the good. He's not willing to buy, probably because he does not have the ability to buy the good after that particular point. Now, similarly, we notice that after point E, this curve is on top of the horizontal axis because individual 2 is not going to buy anything beyond point E. Beyond point E, individual 2 is not going to buy anything. So that's why this red line, that is the red curve, the marginal social benefit curve, is going to be right on top of the horizontal axis after point E or beyond point E. It's going to be right on top of the horizontal axis beyond point E because individual 2 is not going to buy anything. It's not willing to buy anything beyond 200. So it can buy anything from 0 to 200. Likewise, individual 1 is going to buy any amount of the public good from 0 to 100. So beyond 100, it's not going to buy anything. That is why you see the marginal social benefit curve forms a kink at point C here. And it is right on top of the demand curve or the marginal benefit curve for individual 2. So once the curve gets at point E, beyond point E here, the marginal social benefit curve is going to be right on top of the horizontal axis. Because beyond point E, individual 2 is not going to buy anything. It's not willing to buy any amount of the public good. So the public good consumed beyond point E is going to be 0 for both individual 1 and individual 2 in this economy. Now, suppose the marginal cost of providing this public good to this economy of 2 individuals is $240. So the point at which the marginal cost is equals to the marginal social benefit is point B. At point B, individual, the efficient amount or the optimal amount of the public good provided is going to be equals to 30 units. So 30 units of the public good will be provided for both individual 1 and 2. So at that particular point, this corresponds to what? $70 for individual 1 and then $170 for individual 2. So at that very point, what do we notice here? We notice that individual 2 is going to pay $170 and then individual 1 is going to pay $70. If we add those two values, 170 plus 70, we're going to have $240, which is exactly equals to the marginal cost of $240. So this means that the efficient amount or the efficient level of public good provided is going to be equals to 30. So that is the level of outputs at which the marginal cost is equals to the marginal social benefits. That is, the marginal benefits for individual 1 plus the marginal benefit for individual 2 should be equals to the marginal cost at that particular point. Now, let's take, for example, we have at this particular point here, at point C. What happened here? At point C, we notice that the marginal social benefits is just on top of the demand curve or the marginal benefit for individual 2. Now let's look at this other case. At the point where MC equals to 400. If the marginal cost of this group is 400, it means nothing will be produced because the marginal cost is above the marginal social benefits for every level of output. So at every level of output, the marginal cost is above the marginal social benefit. It is above the marginal benefit for both individual 1 and individual 2. So nothing will be produced and nothing will be demanded if the marginal cost is equals to 400. Now let's take, for example, the marginal cost is $50. If the marginal cost is $50, we notice that it is equals to, the marginal cost is equal to the marginal social benefits at point D. Is equals to the marginal social benefit at point D. So at point D, the marginal benefits of individual 2 is equals to the marginal cost or the marginal social cost to the society. But since at point D, the marginal cost is not equal to the marginal benefit for individual 1, so we say the price there is equal to 0. So as a matter of fact, we just equate the marginal benefit of individual 2 to that of individual 1, to that of the marginal cost, since individual 1's price is equal to 0. So here we are only equating the marginal social cost to the marginal benefit. And in that particular case, the marginal social benefit here is gonna be P1 plus P2. But notice that P1 is equal to 0 in this respect, right? So P1 is equal to 0, and then P2 is the demand for individual 2. So it means that the efficient level of outputs of the public good provided at point D will be 150. It will be 150. So 150 units will be provided. So at that particular point, Individual 2 is willing to pay $50, and because individual 2 is willing to pay $50 at that particular point, we say that the marginal cost is equals to the marginal benefits. So because the marginal cost of 50 is equals to the price that individual 2 is willing to pay, we say the efficient amount of the public good provided is going to be 150. Since individual 1 is going to pay zero amount for the public good, because beyond 100, individual 1 is not going to buy any amount of the public good. So the price there is going to be equal to 0. So as I said earlier, from the diagram, we notice that the marginal benefit curve of the individual 1 is D1 equals to MB1. And the marginal benefit curve of individual 2 is D2 equals to MB2. Since the public good is a non-exclusive and non-rival good, many people will consume the good, and so the marginal benefit derived from the consumption of the good by the society is the King curve ABC. The efficient level of output is 30 at a marginal cost of $240, because at 30 units, the marginal benefits of the first consumer is $70, and the marginal benefit of the second consumer is $170. So if we add those two, MC equals to MB1 plus MB2, we conclude that MB1 is 170 plus 70, which is 240. 240 is equals to 240. So we conclude that 30 units is the efficient level that the public good should be provided. Now, we move on to the provision of public goods and the Lindell pricing. Now, what is the Lindell price here? The Lindell price refers to the price the consumer would be willing to pay a little more for a public good if the government were to offer the consumer a little more of it. Lindell pricing is a kind of tax in which individuals pay for a public good according to the marginal benefit they expect to derive from the good. So, in Lindell pricing, it's a kind of tax. Now, individuals are going to pay based on the marginal benefit. But there is a problem here. They have about 3 different types of problems here. The first problem is what? Preference revolution, right? Now, some consumers are going to act strategically. So what they are going to do is they are not going to reveal their preference. So because they are not going to reveal their preference, so they're going to provide their actual preference. They're going to provide sometimes, they're going to provide sometimes they're going to say, now they are going to experience like low amount of benefit from the consumption of the good, which of course they are actually experiencing high benefits from the consumption of the good. So this is a way of allowing others to pay the extra cost of the good. So you have that issue of preference revolution. You also have the issue of what? Preference knowledge. Now, if I am not able, if maybe I don't shop regularly for certain type of good, so I may not know, it will be difficult to value, the preferences of individuals. If maybe sometimes you don't shop you don't shop a particular good on a regular basis. So for you, for us to know, or for us to determine the valuation or the value that a particular individual places on a particular good, we need to know if this particular consumer consumes these goods on a regular basis. If it doesn't consume this on a regular basis, it becomes difficult. Now, there is also the problem of aggregation. Now, aggregating consumer preferences again is a big problem, with this linear pricing. Now, let's look at some exercises. Now, consider an economy with three individuals. Individual one has inverse demand function for a public good, given as Q1 equals to 60 minus 2Q1. Individual 2 has inverse demand function for the public good, given as P2 equals to 90 minus 5Q2. And individual 3 has inverse demand function for the public good, given as P3 equals 50 minus 3Q3. The prices are measured in dollars per unit. Suppose the marginal cost of producing the public good is $20 per unit. Determine the efficient level of the public good. Determine the Lindell price of the public good for each individual. Who pays more for the public good? Now, so here, we want to determine the efficient level of the public good. The efficient level of the public good. So what do we do here? The first thing we have to do here is to equate the marginal cost to the sum of the individual marginal benefit for all the three individuals, right? So now what we need to do here, we say P1 plus P2 plus P3 is equals to what? The marginal cost of $20, right? And then we solve for Q. But remember, now we have P1 equals to 60 minus 2Q1, and then P2 equals to 90 minus 5Q2, and then P3 equals to 50 minus 3Q3. Now, those subscripts, Q1, P1, these are all notations for distinguishing, or differentiating between the individuals or among the three individuals. So, but when you are adding those values, do not write Q1, Q2 there. Just say Q, 60 minus 2Q plus 90 minus 5Q plus 50 minus 3Q. Do not put Q1, Q2, okay? So we add all those three and then equate to what? The marginal cost. And then we'll find the value of Q. The value of Q gives what? The efficient level of the public good. That's it. Right? And then we determine the Lindell price of the public good. So all we need to do here is to multiply that efficient level of the public good provided by the price of each individual, by the price of each individual, right? So that's how we find, or in other words, we just substitute this efficient level into the price equation for each individual to obtain what? The Lindell price. The Lindell price of the public good. Because here, the Lindell price, we are saying what? This is the price that what? Is equals to the valuation or the valuation of the public good. Our individual it is measured according to what? The benefit derived by each of the individual. And here we are using the price, right? The benefit derived from by each individual from the consumption of the good. So the Lindell price here is based on that benefit, based on the demand functions of each of those three individuals. So if we solve here by equating the marginal cost to the marginal social benefits, we're going to add what? We just add the prices. When we sum the marginal benefit vertically, this means that P1 plus P2 plus P3 equals to MSB, and MSB is what? The marginal social benefits. This is equals to our 60 minus 2Q plus 90 minus 5Q plus 50 minus that. And that gives us 200 minus 10Q. So at the efficient level of production, marginal social benefit is equal to marginal cost. Therefore, if we equate 200 minus 10Q to 20, the answer we get is what? 18, right? We solve, we get 18. So Q star is 18. Therefore, the efficient amount of the public good provided is Q star equals to 18. Now, to obtain the Lindell price, we multiply the marginal benefit of each good by the efficient level of output. So, what do we do here? We just plug in Q star equals to that, and that gives us what? Multiply this by that, that gives us 24, 36. So we have 60 minus 36, which is what? $24, right? And therefore, individual 2 marginal benefit is that. Multiply 18 by 5, that gives us 90. 90 minus 90 is $0. Now for individual 3, we plug in for Q star equals to 18 into the demand function, and that gives us what? Minus $4. Now, clearly, individual 1 pays more for the public good because the Lindell price is the highest of the three. Individual 2 pays nothing, 0 amount, and government provided a subsidy of $4 for consuming the public good.